Fear and intimidation. Now, fear is something that I believe is really the core of just about any kind of mental block to athletes' performance. Whether it's fear of unknown, psyching yourself out, fear of the opponents, or fear of being embarrassed or failure. These are all things that can really make an athlete afraid, and as a result, it really takes them out of the state that they're really used to competing in. Whenever we're in fear, there's a very different kind of a response that our body is producing, where we really focus on survival, and it really becomes almost about life and death. And the problem with that is that we're usually not our most resourceful self when we're doing this. And because sports is really state dependent, the state that you're really used to practicing in, the state that you can really go into where you're having a good time and you're enjoying yourself, in that really intense focus, and yet it's a relaxation that allows you to have real flexibility in terms of your behavior. And fear is a really big obstacle to that. Now, one of the things that somebody can do in order to generate a feeling of fear in their body is to imagine something, imagine saying something, and it's usually about the future. So it's really about the person being out of the moment. They're imagining the outcomes, whether it's themselves losing, whether it's their coach yelling at them, whether it's their opponent hurting them, and this makes them really retreat into their comfort zone. And the problem with that is that they don't have flexibility of what they could do, and often their opponent does. I see this a lot, especially with combat athletes, but it also works with team athletes, where they're intimidated by their opponents because they literally, in their mind, make their opponents bigger than they really are. And they make them stronger, and they start to project onto those opponents strengths that the opponents actually don't have. So once I point that out, and once we do certain mental techniques to help literally shrink down the size of an opponent, it really completely changes the way that they feel about it. Also, with fear, it's important to know what it is that you're paying attention to, what it is that you're imagining that's really causing you to feel this way. So what are you focused on? And it's also really taking you out of the moment. And really a big part of sports is being focused and staying present, staying in that moment. And the ways we address that is we look at what someone's paying attention to, how they're paying attention to it. We change those things, as well as some really interesting techniques in actually changing the way the fear moves throughout the body.